And that's what they want you to do. That's my opinion, is that that's what they want you to do. Like their report, the way that they selected the data, it produced the result that they wanted. It checked a box. Hey, we did the study. There's no cancer cluster.
Well, today I am joined by Cheryl Lumsden Jozsa, a fairly new author of your first book, correct?
First book, probably my only book, but
And it's called Wells of Silence.
yes.
And what I really wanted to talk about today was community health. You do have a background in healthcare early on in your career. What did you do in healthcare?
My first job ever, I was a surgical technologist. I worked for Dr. David Corbett in Sarasota. And after that, I was a paramedic for a couple years. And then when we moved up here to Central Florida, I ended up working for the school district where I've pretty much been ever since.
Good. So your book is about something that happened in Manatee County, Florida, and it's a very personal story to you. And part of the inspiration for the book was your sister, what happened to your sister. So I really want to focus on community health and how the local health department in everyone's community and the Environmental Protection Agency and county commissioners and how all of these government entities can really affect the community's health and how they do need to be held accountable. And who you vote in matters, and after they're voted in, they need to be held accountable because a lot of the decisions that they make eventually can affect the citizens of that county. And that's a lot of what your book is about. It goes all the way back to when this started in the 1960s,
When the school was built.
Yeah, and it's all the way up to this current, to today people are still being affected by this. So if you can, just go ahead and give a background of why you started writing this book and how maybe incorporate your sister's story and why you decided to just kind of be passionate about this subject.
So our story is like an onion. It's got so many layers to it. I'll start by saying that my sister passed away in 1999 of chronic myelogenic leukemia, and we were blown away by her diagnosis. She was 37 years old when she was diagnosed, and she passed away like 6 months later. And the light didn't come on right away. It wasn't until that I got a phone call that a classmate of my sister's had also been diagnosed with leukemia. And I remember I called his sister, Erin. Her classmate was Bruce Bell, so I called Erin just to chat with her, to, offer her any ideas, find out where his treatment was going to be. Was there anything I could do? Could we do fundraisers? Back then you used to, people would do, golf tournaments to raise money, fundraisers. Yeah. So I reached out to her, and we talked for a while that night, and after I got off the phone, it was like a light went off. I was like, how could two people in the same class have leukemia so young? So I started digging.
It's rare.
It's rare.
Yeah.
It's very rare. So, and I had no idea where to even start. I wasn't even really good at getting on the internet then. So one of the first places I started, I Googled environmental causes of leukemia, and benzene came up, and I was like, benzene? What is benzene? And then I figured out benzene is found in diesel products and, and other products. And I was like, how would that how would they have come in contact with that at Bayshore? So, now mind you, by this time I was already living here in Lake County, working for a school district, and I was like, maybe I should start looking at school board minutes and getting records that way. So I started asking for school board records. I also was trying to do searches on my own on the internet and couldn't really find anything.
So, just if I can interrupt you, why did you connect this to the school? Like, what was it? You were just looking for
I was
anything?
just looking because I was thinking, how could benzene end up at a school? Like, that part wasn't making sense. So after a while, I finally got some of the records, and I found where there was a diesel storage tank at Bayshore High School. And I went, well, there you go. It was a memo from the risk manager that said, according to recent dipstick readings, we have reason to believe that the tank at Bayshore High School is leaking.
And this was from school board minutes that you found?
This is through records requests and school board minutes. And so that's kind of how that whole thing started. So that's how I started with that. And then I reached out, in the meantime, I reached out to Monica Yadav, who used to work at ABC7 in Sarasota. She was an investigative reporter. She did a phenomenal job. And eventually she ended up doing a story on it. Bill Galvano got involved, because he was trying to help arrange this town hall meeting, which a lot of people showed up then. And they arranged to have some testing done at Bayshore. And I always said that they didn't go deep enough. Like, a 10,000 gallon tank is huge. That's like the size of a pool. So imagine a hole left behind from that. You're going to have to bring in fill dirt. So I'm pretty confident I wasn't there. And Monica Yadav even asked if she could be there to interview the people that were doing the testing, and the DEP would not allow it. Pam Vasquez told her she wasn't allowed to do. They weren't allowed to do that, which I'm like, well, if you're trying to be transparent, what's wrong with a couple of questions? Because my question would have been, well, gee, did you just test fill dirt? So
So they found this tank, they were testing it. There was someone from the news that was investigating, but the whole time there was still...
So the tank had been removed in 1995.
Okay.
And so in 2007, because we brought this issue forward, they said that they would do some testing there, maybe to reassure us, to, see what was there. And it's still my opinion they didn't go deep enough in the soil. They would have had to gone past the fill dirt that filled the hole to get down to the area.
So you think they were just, whatever, like probes or whatever they were using, they were just kind of just sticking it in the fill dirt that they put in
whatever
where the
they
tank
pulled
was.
out, they were testing fill dirt.
Yeah.
That filled the hole. So that's not going to be... That's not going to...
It's not accurate.
It's going to give them the results that they want.
Yeah. And this whole time, up until 2007, there's students, former students, who are continually being diagnosed with rare forms
Of cancer.
And it's way above...
Really rare forms.
And it's way above what the normal, accepted statistical rate would be.
So, after 2007, they kind of wanted people to buy that everything was okay there. But I knew it wasn't. I was still hearing from people. So I continued on, we had an attorney that was trying to assist us. He was from Orlando. He did a great job, but the thing that we wanted people to understand, that this was never about a lawsuit. This was never going to be about money. This was about bringing awareness and letting us find out what we were exposed to so people could get early intervention means a greater chance of survival. That's what we started this whole thing out to be.
Thank you for joining me on the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and let me know in the comments who you'd like to see me have on the show next. And then along the way, I was reading in the book that you found just things that weren't making sense. Like you found, can you talk about like missing records? Like there was records that were just missing or deleted or retyped or
Right. So the school board minutes were the first ones that I recognized, and I give glory to God for that, because God gives us the tools that we need in our life to do the job for Him. And I believe that because early on, I was in the medical field, and then I ended up in the school district. Like, those are such broadly different fields that, but that knowledge was invaluable in this investigation. I remember one day I was like, I should look at the historical school board minutes. And so one night I was online because Manatee County School Board minutes used to go clear back to like 1912 or something crazy like that. And I was sitting there and I would copy and paste and put it over onto a blank Word document. So that could be notes for myself, like other things to investigate. And one night I was copying and pasting and I went, wait, that went too clean, because when I first started it, when I would copy and paste, because it was the old typewriter, it would pick up little extra spaces or weird things that the computer didn't recognize. So you would get some kind of funky little notes. But when I did the copy and paste on this one, it went perfect. And I went, and it was late at night, and I looked and I went, oh my gosh, this is modern day computer font. And it was the minutes from 1961. I'm like, they didn't have computer font in 1961. And working for a school district myself, I know we have better things to do than to go back and pull old school board minutes out from 50, 60 years ago and retype them.
Yeah.
It's like, and I believe that was done intentionally. I will always believe that was done intentionally. Then there was missing records. So in 2012, I had reached out to Karen Carpenter, who was a school board member for the district that covered Bayshore Gardens and Bayshore High School. And I asked her, I reached out and lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
Was this?
So this was about, for the record. So Karen was for that district, and her and I became pretty close. Like, we would reach out and communicate frequently. One day she met me over at the Bayshore parking lot, and I, kind of told her the layout of how the school used to be, and she reached out. Now, mind you, that was in February of 2012. She reached out to Dr. Jennifer Bensey, who is still at the Florida Health Department today. Sent her an email and said, hey, Cheryl Jozsa she was mentioning about the numbers of cases of cancer among our alumni. And Dr. Bensey said, oh, okay, well, in the meantime, we'll start researching. That was in 2012. In 2018, when they had a public meeting to discuss when they would start taking the patient health study forms, when they would start, explaining all the information for that.
It was like they were like a survey. They were putting out a survey for all the old students.
Right. A reporter asked Dr. Bensey, so how long have you known about this, and what took you so long to do something about it? And she said, we first learned of it earlier this year at the town hall meeting. That was not true.
So
she had known for almost 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2012, Karen Carpenter and I met frequently. We emailed back and forth, and she was really genuinely trying to help. And now, mind you, Jennifer Bensey already knows about it. In 2012, 2013, guess what goes missing? The student records from 1962 to 1985, they were destroyed. They held on to them all those years, and then they destroyed them.
And I was also reading that
they destroyed them.
There was other I don't know, 3 or 4 other high schools in the area, and that wasn't done at those high schools.
Yeah, not in such a gap of time like that. And so conveniently, that's when in 2018, the health department said, yeah, well, we can only use classes 1986 and forward because we can't validate that they went to school there.
Like there was no record anywhere of
No.
anyone before.
So what we did with our biostatistics expert, how we got the data, because we wanted to give him good data, right? You give good data in, you get good data out. We have about 30 years worth of yearbooks electronically on file. And we went through and counted each student, including not pictured. And that's how we came up with our class totals. They could have done the same thing.
Now, did you contact those people to be part of the survey, or they didn't want them to be part of the survey?
The alumni?
Yeah.
I have no way. I have no way of emailing people. I mean, that's why I started the Bayshore page, to get word out. Mm-hmm. And, we have like 2,100, I think, maybe followers. But I wrote this down because sometimes I forget numbers and things. But just for our data is self-reported. So that's when people contact me, and I keep everybody's data protected. I don't share it with anybody. When I do share it with the experts, it's male or female in the class and a diagnosis. Mm-hmm. So just so everybody knows that their health data is protected. But in our self-reported data, 1962 to 1985, by them eliminating those, they eliminated 225 cases from being included. Mm-hmm. So my sister's class of 1979, their senior year had 261 students. From the class of 1979, I have data on 33 cases, 4 leukemias, 3 of those I know are confirmed are deceased, 4 lymphomas, and 3 ALS deaths. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves, and like the biostatistics expert said, this is all from one building. Mm-hmm. And you get into the zip code, that's a whole nother thing.
And it wasn't there was other high schools in the area that were not affected.
I don't know, is all I could do to keep up with Bayshore.
But they did have a different, Bayshore High School had a larger tank. Their situation with their diesel tank and contaminants was a lot different than the other.
The diesel tank at Bayshore High School, in any of those reports that the environmental reports that they had prepared by whatever environmental companies that came in and did evaluations, they said that it was used for a generator. A 10,000 gallon tank for a generator. Most of the schools in Manatee County use either a 250 or a 500 gallon tank, not a 10,000 gallon tank. Mm-hmm. So that is not. And I think one of the other things that was very frustrating is they could never tell us where our drinking water source was. Because they kept saying, oh, well, in the soil. I'm like, we weren't out there eating dirt. Yeah, we were probably practicing, band, honey bear, football players. Everybody was out there with their certain sports, with activities. But in many of the environmental reports that I have, they would say, and we reached out to, so-and-so and asked for them to tell us, where's the source of the drinking water. And it was always a hem-haw, well, we think and maybe, and they never got back. They never got back to them with a true, transparent answer. That's when I started hitting the newspaper archives. And what I found just blew my mind. Which makes me think that's probably why they retyped some of those school board minutes. I'm not sure on that. That's just speculation. But again, why would you retype minutes?
So your thought was the diesel it was leaking into the ground, and then
Left
it
the
was,
benzene in the ground. And you know, there's
I mean, there's
when you're on
gases.
when you're on well water, there are like with the hydrogeologist Dave Woodhouse that was our pro bono expert. The way he described it is it's like a straw that goes into into the ground, and it sucks up wherever the straw goes down, how far it goes down, what contaminants are at that level will draw it in. So if there's a drought that year, or if it's been excessively rainy, all depends on what's up the street. It's not just confined to that little parcel right there that Bayshore and the old Votech sat on.
And so, what happened with when you were investigating the well, and how that, because there's a whole story with how the well came to be, that because there was a well on that property.
So the way I discovered the wells was, for the longest time they kept telling us they were on, they would never give us a clear answer. And I would start hearing from alumni that would say, "Oh, I remember being on the backfield," or "I remember being in ag class." And I remember one year we even they had put in their own little well, which probably is not even on anybody's map of anything. And the fact that they didn't tell us that we were on well water, I think that speaks itself, because a lot of those newspaper articles that I found where the school district and the health department were at odds. The health department wanted the wells tested, and at the time, the superintendent did what he wanted, and he installed the wells.
So the significance is, if there's no record of a well being installed, it never has to be tested.
Correct. And here's the thing. When Bayshore was built, that was back before permitting was even a thing. So all these reports that they would say, "Oh, well, we searched a 2-mile radius or a 1 mile or a quarter-mile radius, and no, potable wells were found." You're not going to find it in your database because there was no permits then. So if they didn't know that it was there, how were they testing it? Because they weren't.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't testing it.
So that could have, in some ways, prevented.
Oh, I feel absolutely that was our connection, was the well water. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because you have to remember, you're not just drinking it from the water fountain. You're showering in it after gym class.
Cafeteria.
The cafeteria,
Yeah.
They're cooking food in it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you live in the area and your family has a well, or a lot of families had irrigation wells. Well, it's Florida. It's hot, 400 days a year. So kids are usually out playing in the water.
Mm-hmm. What role did, there was a company just right up the road from Bayshore. What was it called?
Riverside Products.
Riverside Products.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really familiar with them.
Okay.
What did they do? What's their role in all of this?
So I believe they manufactured machine parts. I'm not exactly sure what the actual business did, but I know that the byproducts of their manufacturing process put a lot of toxins into the environment. And we didn't know about that until some experts got involved, and mm-hmm. they flagged that. They said, so what they told us was that, you have different cancers here. Benzene wouldn't cause all these different cancers because different toxins have different target organs. And so they were looking, and they found the problems at Riverside. And there was a lot of problems there. Mm-hmm. And the county knew about that.
Mm-hmm. So, and as time went on, you kept researching. There was still more stories of alumni getting cancers. I was reading that one of I don't know if it was a statistician that you hired or someone said that it was like one in like trillion
It
chance
was, yeah.
of this cancer cluster happening.
Yeah.
It was just like not a coincidence that
It's not a
all of this was
coincidence, not
happening.
at all.
And so at some point you ended up getting an attorney, had a geologist and
Right.
a statistician, and then you did contact, or the attorney did, the local police station. And something turned, you were working with like the
Well,
police.
so there was an attorney involved, and he was working that in, because you have to have proof, to get anybody to listen to you. Well, they weren't listening to us just by us having a town hall meeting and asking for help. So you get a lawyer now, and you kind of start forcing the issue. So they were kind of working with the experts, with the biostatistics, with the epidemiologist, and that's when, like I said, that's when we found Riverside Products. But
So what were what was the reason for the police? Because they thought that there
so
was truly fraud with the
so
documents.
I started reaching out. Like, I reached out to the First Amendment Foundation and said, "Hey, have you ever seen this happen? Is this normal? Is it normal for them to retype records?" And she wrote me back and said, "Since the invention of the Xerox machine, no city, county, state entity has ever had to retype anything. There's no reason to have to do that." So I kept reaching out just to anybody who would listen. I think I ended up, it was with the Inspector General. And the Inspector General sent it down to Ed Brodsky, the state attorney, and said, "Hey, this, you need to take a look at this." So he sent it to the Bradenton Police Department, and they've sat on it all these years. They've sat on it. Oh, telling me, "Yeah, we're working, it's still an active case. It's still an active case." Well, the last time I talked to Josh Kramer, who's now the chief of police, he said, "I'm really embarrassed to say this, but I can't find your file."
Like the original file that had.
So any notes that he had been taken on it, but he'd never talked to anybody. So I had even said, you need to check with Karen Carpenter. I even gave him the names, because I had dug down into the properties of the files, how you can do a PDF and see who did them. And I even gave him the names of people who authored them or retyped them. He never reached out to any of them.
So what's the motivation for them hiding stuff, and what are the implications if all of these cancers were caused by the tanks or the water, and all of the lack of records and things that could have been prevented?
That's a question we've been asking for so long. First of all, why wouldn't they have just dealt with it? Why wouldn't they have just, when we brought it forward? But there's so many possibilities that it could be from. They're afraid of lawsuits. They're afraid of having to do something about it. Remediate the land. What's that going to do to property values around it? And what's across the street? IMG Academy. It's just, I think there's...
And IMG, for those who don't know, is just a massive sports facility that houses high school students that come
From around the world
to play football, baseball, any kind of sport.
Be in their programs.
Yeah, it's a huge facility.
Yeah.
So it just seems like no one wanted to take accountability for anything.
No.
And it's gotten so far now that to come out and admit it would
Probably
mean
be culpable negligence. I mean, I'm no lawyer.
it would mean that there was someone trying to cover it up.
Yeah.
If it came out that
Yeah.
this is true, that it would mean that there was cover up all along the way.
I mean, where in the emails when the final Bayshore Health study came out, and they were like, it was a Word doc. It wasn't signed. It wasn't dated. You don't know who the author was, and they were worried about recasting it onto official on their letterhead to make it look more official.
So this was you're talking about the results of the study they did when
Yes.
they sent out that survey,
Mm-hmm.
which only included those that attended after 1985.
86 and forward.
Yeah. So they sent out their results of this is what we think happened, or this is the when we studied all of the cancer cases. And what did it say?
Say that again?
Like what did the study say? Like what did they find? What was
Oh,
their-
they kept saying that everything was like, basically that there wasn't a cluster there. And I'm like, yeah, because you just excluded a huge portion of the data that we're telling you. Like if they looked at the data from 1979, 4 leukemias from the class of 1979, and 3 were already deceased. That's a lot out of 261 people. The fact that they used the 34207 or the 34210 zip code, Bayshore's in, according to the post office, Bayshore's in 34207. And here's the thing, even if they use 34207, 34210, my sister didn't live in that zip code when she died. So either way they did it, they would have never captured my sister's data. So it was like they were looking every which way they could, but to look at the data.
Was there anyone that, because you did mention that there were some people who seemed interested. Was there anyone that from the county or health department or anyone that took a serious interest?
From the health department, absolutely not. Karen Carpenter, she was very genuine.
And she was
She was a
county
school board
school
member,
board.
and her district was Bayshore High School, and she retired just a few weeks before the big town hall meeting in 2017, and shortly after that, then Governor Rick Scott appointed Scott Hopes. And, at first we were like, oh, well, look at that. He's an epidemiologist. Of course, my eyebrow went up because I'm like, an epidemiologist as a school board member? And he never did anything to help us. He had a meeting with us one morning. We met for breakfast. But you kind of knew it wasn't going to be an official capacity when he didn't give you an official email address.
Yeah.
It's in my book where I sent him an email and it bounced back.
It wasn't like
It wasn't like
It
his
was
Scott Hopes at BOCC or Manatee. Well,
where they're all
you know what I'm
public,
saying, yeah.
where they're all public record and
Right.
you can request the records.
or
later.
like they're at manatee.edu or whatever their official email address is. Yeah. But, and then he went on to be the county administrator. He got appointed to be the county administrator right around the time of the Piney Point fiasco. And I'm like, so you're going from school board member to county administrator. I feel like he's the fixer.
So, like moving more into the current day, you also found out that there were other schools across the state, not like in the same county, but there was other counties across the state that actually had similar problems.
Noticing similar situations.
So,
Boca Ciega High School in Pinellas County, and over in Brevard Satellite High School.
so were they having the same issues? Like, what was their issue? Was it diesel
Their
tanks?
issue,
Was it water?
no, their issue was, I cannot remember the name of that company, but it was a big company. They're still up there. I cannot remember the name of that company. but it was causing adrenal cancer, a type of adrenal cancer. And they were real close to their school. And then Satellite Beach, I don't know what the prevalence of cancers was, if it was breast cancer or not, but they were still finding a lot of cancers. Lymphomas, I know lymphomas was one of them. But theirs wasn't a diesel tank either. They're pretty close to like the Space Center, Patrick Air Force Base. And there was a lot of contamination with people's homes and their backyards, finding, like, they've got their own issues over there.
So what happened now? Did theirs go back to like the 60s, like Bayshore did, or was it?
I don't know if Satellite Beach was that old. I'm not sure. I don't know the exact history like I do Bayshore. Like I said, it's all I can do to.
And what happened to those schools? Because you did meet up with some people from there.
So my friend Emerald was an RN, and she was the one kind of leading the group from Boca Ciega High. She passed away in 2024. She passed away. My friend Stell she's still an advocate over in Satellite Beach.
Have they done similar things to what you've done, like with the requesting, just trying to find the records
causation
and contact the health department and the school board? Have they done all that?
So Stell was able to get the Brevard Health Department over there to do a study, because that's how I met her. A friend of mine sent me in the newspaper article about what was going over there, and they were having a town hall meeting, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's tomorrow. I called Emerald and I said, hey, do you want to meet me? Let's go. So we drove over and we went to the town hall meeting, and I took a copy of that health survey that they, the Manatee County Health Department gave us, and said, look, this is what our health department, had us fill out, and, just make sure that, they're doing a good job for you guys. Their health department never collected the first form. It only took them 8 months. And they came back and said that, yes, there were some cancers that were greater than expected normals, averages. And theirs was 67 pages, their report that they got back. Ours was like 7 pages, and it took them almost 3 years. So we actually, in 2019, went up to Tallahassee to meet with Governor DeSantis's cabinet of policy and budget. And basically what we were asking for is if they would create like a citizens advisory group where people like us could come and say, hey, look, we have these concerns, and we would like to collaborate and see what could be done. They literally sat across the table from us, and nothing came from that. They listened, and that was about it. They hardly even spoke.
So what do you think it's going to take to get something done? Is it like I know the attorney that you worked with, you mentioned something about, he said this is going to cost, it would cost millions of dollars.
He said it would be millions of dollars if you can get it into the courtroom.
So do you just have to get the right person's attention, or do you have to, how do you imagine this getting to the point to where something's actually getting done?
So there's a lot of ways that this needs to get done. The health department needs to change how they collect data. They need to, first of all, not have a deaf ear to the public, especially when groups like us are coming forward with valuable information. The Florida DEP needs to do a better job of protecting the environment rather than protecting the polluter, because right now the polluters are pretty much given a fine, maybe a little remediation if that happens, but they write in those fines as a cost of doing business. There's times where in the example with Riverside Products, they would go years, the DEP, and they didn't even follow up on them after being told that there is a threat to the public health. And that was when we were all in school there on well water. And I don't think people realize that, well, it didn't happen to me. Well, that's great. I'm happy for you that it didn't happen to you. There's a lot of people that it did affect. There's a lot of people that are no longer with us, so.
And like you said, the cost of doing business, I mean, to me, are you $1,000 or $2,000 fine is like, I can't pay that every month.
Right.
But a company, they can $20,000 a month
Nothing.
Is, may not be a big deal to them.
Especially when it's $100, $200, $300, $500,000 to clean up. They'd rather just pay the fine. So the Florida DEP, they need to do a better job. They need to be held. They need to be held accountable. I don't know what the answer is to that. I know the Florida DEP is not, because we found a lot of things that with Riverside Products, and the school district didn't even have to answer to the Florida DEP for a lot of the stuff.
So as far as community health is concerned, what is, because this is a little bit different of an episode. It's not about a hospital or a physician, but as far as community health, what is like the health department and all these county commissioners and these people who are really affecting, they have the power to affect people's health with either doing good things or doing bad things, or turning a deaf ear to things. So what do they do well? Like, is there some things that they do well, and where are they lacking, and how do we fix it? So is there any value that they bring to help the community? Because they are there to serve the community, so they should be doing some things that are right.
Honestly, but I don't have a lot of positive things to say about what the health department did. I mean, when COVID happened, look at the gal that got fired because she wasn't fudging the numbers. That doesn't surprise me. I believed her. I believed her when she said that. And I believe she lives out of state now. Her life was made miserable. So I don't feel like the health department does enough to protect the health, because if they did, they would look at the groups of us that went to Tallahassee and say, hey, we got a problem here, or what we perceive as a problem, help us understand this, at least listen to us. And until there's more of an open door, I don't see a solution.
Because it seems like this gets attention locally. Like, it would come in waves. Like, it would get a lot of attention.
That's why I wrote the book.
And then it would go away. And then, I don't know, a couple years later, it would be talked about again, and then it would go away.
Right.
And it's never gotten, like, to this level where they have to do, like, they just, like, can't deny it anymore. They have to do something about it. Because if this can happen, I mean, we're just another county in Florida, and regular,
exactly.
We're a regular county in the United States. And so if these things can happen here,
they can happen
anywhere.
States. Correct.
And so that's why, I really wanted to talk about how do you prevent something like this from happening again? So I guess the main thing is keeping the county accountable for their actions. And you just, I suppose you have to just get involved like you did,
That's what Erin Brockovich would tell you. Like, when the first night that Emerald and I met her back in, I think that was in 2018, she was releasing her book, Superman Isn't Coming. And she pretty much told us it's up to everybody to be aware of what's in your community. And it is everybody's problem. And more people do need to get involved. And because, Everybody was, oh, call Erin Brockovich, she'll come. Let me tell you, she is one woman. She can't go to everybody's community and do this. It's taken me 20 years to get to this point, and I was met with such resistance and lack of transparency, is why I wrote the book. I was literally sickened when I saw the emails back and forth where they said when the health study results were released, but they had to check with Tallahassee, is it okay if we cast this onto letterhead to make it look more official? I was floored. All of our experts, they have their name, their credentials, whenever they gave their opinions or their information or reports. So, I don't know.
And part of the problem is organizing people with a consistent effort. I mean, you can get people to a county commissioners meeting, or you can get people to email the health department, but
it takes past it.
If it's not continually done, like every day, every week, every month,
correct,
they just
you're right.
they can just ignore it and kind of goes away.
And that's what they want you to do. That's my opinion, is that's what they want you to do. Like their report, the way that they selected the data, it produced the result that they wanted. It checked a box. Hey, we did the study. There's no cancer cluster. And the fact that we didn't even know who authored that. Was it a doctor? Was it a biostat student at FSU? Like, we still don't know who wrote that. But at the end of the day, the lack of wanting to communicate with us, for us to feel like we're having to make them, make them do that. Like, they should already be doing that for us. I mean, it's in their mission statement to protect us, and they're not. They're absolutely not protecting us.
Yeah. They are public servants funded by tax dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, all of those the county commissioners, the
school board, school district, they're all
Florida Department of
they all
Environment. Yeah.
Exactly.
So they should be there to serve the community. Yeah.
And listen to the community and not just disregard us. Our hydrogeologist and the biostatistics expert, which by the way lives in North Carolina and was going to take care of the expenses of coming down here, he wanted to present basically a rebuttal to the health department's study. And the BOCC wasn't interested, the school board wasn't interested, and the school district wasn't interested. They didn't want to hear it. I think that speaks volumes. You've got 3 different entities that we've reached out to, and they didn't want to hear what they had to say. Yet their study we have no idea who authored it, who prepared the study. So that's why I wrote the book. At least I figure I get the information out and let people know, you know what, we were on well water, there were toxins there, because like my sister slammed a car door in her leg, and her leg swelled up, and she ended up in the emergency room, and that's how they caught it.
So she wasn't even having it. It was by total accident.
She thought she fractured her leg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where are you at now with you've written this book to try to get the information out? Like, what do you see coming in the future? Like,
I'm waiting for God to give me that one. Honestly.
Is there anything going on right now? Is there any I don't know, any reporters or anyone from the county that has
I haven't heard a peep from anybody from the county, the health department. I haven't heard a peep from anybody. Not that I expected to. Again, I wrote this book for anybody that went to Bayshore or worked there. I wrote it for them so that they'll know. A friend of mine who just lost her brother, a friend of mine from my class, he had bone cancer, unspecified. They have no idea where it came from. She sent 3 of the current county commissioners my book and emailed them. She's yet to even get a reply. Thank you. Received the book. Nothing.
And this is current because
This is current.
Like,
This is like he just died a couple weeks ago.
because this
My
just
book
came out
just
like
came-
2 months ago. Or
Yeah,
something.
it came out in August.
In August, yeah.
So she sent the book to 3 of the current county commissioners and with an email to hold them accountable. And she hasn't heard. Last I talked to her a couple of days ago, she hasn't heard from any of them. Not even a thank you for the book. Now, we have a county commissioner here in Lake County. We've got a landfill over here that they're up trying to get like a bigger expansion, whatever. And there's like toxins. They're worried about toxins getting into the aquifer. And I was like, you know what? I'm so impressed with her. That is what a county commissioner should be doing. If anybody wants to know, look up Leslie Campione in Lake County. That is what a county commissioner should be doing.
Because this is a bigger, I mean, like, what happened at Bayshore is it happened at a school. But they're, like,
Right.
it's just as applicable with what's going on in your county with toxins being
Right.
introduced somewhere else.
And the toxins are everywhere. And the thing is like, I know that South Lake High School, I'm pretty positive they were built before Bayshore High School. They were probably most likely on a well also. So I wouldn't doubt if somebody started digging and started looking, but any place, whether it's a residence or a business or a school that's on well water, are at risk for this. And there's so many chemicals out there. There's so many chemicals that they don't even test for, like PFAS, and there's so many different ones that are not required to be tested. And like the PFAS and the PFAS, those are forever chemicals. They get in your body, they stay in your body forever. And those are absolute cancer causing. So if they're, and that's another thing with any type of well testing, if they're not doing the whole gambit, you don't know. Like if they're only testing for, say, for benzene and like that, but you didn't test for PFAS and you're being exposed to PFAS, you're not going to know it. You know, people say, well, my water tastes great. Well, chances are you're not going to taste it, any of these toxins. So.
Can you just let people know how do they, if they want to get your book, how do they get it?
So,
I know it's on Amazon.
It's only on Amazon.
It's only on Amazon.
Yeah. My first book, probably my last book. It was tough to write.
Yeah.
It was tough to write. I actually started it a year ago, and it was tough. But God put it on my heart. And for like 6 months, I just stopped. Because rereading all that and going through it again was really hard. But God put it on my heart to finish it. So I did. But you can find it on Amazon. It's the only place. I self-published it. So if you see any typos, it's mine. I own it. But it's like me. I'm flawed. I am, you know.
And it's called
Wells of Silence,
Yeah.
Memoir of the Bayshore High School Health Crisis.
And then what about your, I know the main way that you've been organizing is with a Facebook group. And a lot of it is just people from around here from the community. But, I mean, you have other information on there that, you know, if someone else in another community
Right.
is being affected by things, they could find it helpful. What's the name of that page?
So the name of our page, we actually started out as a website. My friend Dave Corder, we went to school together. He created a website for me, but you know, when Facebook came around, it was so much easier.
This
you
was
know,
like
to share.
that
yeah,
was like way back in
that
the
was way
90s.
back, like no, that was actually in the early 2000s, and so we kept the name of that because we were shutting the website down so people could find it on Facebook. So it's Bayshore High School Concerned Alumni, Concerned Alumni and Friends.
Okay.
So.
And they could find more information on there too.
Yeah, they
links
can.
to your book and
Yeah, I think I have it pinned on there. But it's available in Kindle if people like are Kindle fans. I like having an actual book in
Yeah.
my hand.
Yeah. Um, is there anything else that we didn't talk about that you want to mention before we go? Any
Yeah,
words of advice, or if someone else is uh, going through a situation like this in different parts of the country, or anything that you want to end with?
So, first and foremost, I would say that for people to pay attention to their own health, make sure you go for regular checkups and regular blood work. That's important. Although my sister did, and like that just blows my mind. Um, if you have well water, or even if you don't have well water, having filters for your showers helps. Because I know like reverse osmosis type setups are pretty expensive. Those are optimal. Those are going to remove a lot of the toxins. Um, and if you live in an area where you believe that there's toxins that are getting into the water near your house, or if you're on well water, you need to reach out to the DEP, to your county commissioners, city commissioners, you know, whichever ones apply. So
Yeah. Well, whenever I publish this and put it out there, I'll make sure I tag all the county commissioners and
yeah,
Florida Department of Health and all those things. So
Yeah.
maybe they'll get someone's attention. And, you know, that's really what this needs, is more attention, more people looking at it from the news, and
looking
for
at it
them to-
instead of looking the other way,
Yeah.
instead of just believing what they've said. Well, this is the final answer. If you have experts over here that are going, yeah, no, here's why that doesn't look right, and you don't want to listen to them, that's not transparency. That's not protecting the public health.
Yeah.
And going back into the newspaper archives, it could have been avoided.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that don't add up.
Yeah, a lot of things.
Well, thank you for coming on, sharing your story.
Thank you, Marcos.
And, just all the research you did to put that book together. I know it was a lot, and I enjoyed reading it. It was good.
Thank you so much.
So,
Thank you for having such an interest in it to
Yeah.
allow us to share this.
Yeah.
Because it was a labor of love, and I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
I'm proud of it.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much, Marcos. It's been a pleasure to meet you and to be here today.
Yeah.